Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Morning. Just setting everything up right now. See if I could do this myself. Can you guys see this screen right now?
Mm, that is too far.
It's the MLS. Can you see the MLS right now?
I'm sorry.
I have the garden state. So can you see that?
Yeah, but like the camera is focused like the main screen, the one that is on the middle. If you
Oh,
can
Yeah, it's a little bit far.
just
Even looks like a little blurry.
yeah, I might be able to share the screen. Hold on. Jenny, can I share the screen or no? So if you guys are going to be following along over Zoom, then if you want to log into the Garden State MLS, also the New Jersey MLS, I am the people on Zoom. Yeah, if you want to talk, you can go into the New Jersey MLS or the Garden State MLS. I usually go into the Garden State MLS, and once you log in, under the search tab, there's a Remine link, and the Remine link login is the same exact login as your Garden State MLS login. Yeah, we're live. You can talk though.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. I'm gonna get my laptop.
yeah. Yeah, if you want to just follow along.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good.
Yeah.
Sorry I'm late.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
Hi,
Getting
Jenny.
late.
How do I share the screen so they can see it on Zoom?
Sherry.
Oh, we can't let them on.
Hi, everybody.
Have you had more?
Okay, moves over.
I hit more.
Yep. Now you go up. And then share. Oh, it's off.
Oh, okay. Screen up.
Let me do it for my computer this time.
Okay. For everyone who just joined, just if you want to follow along on the Garden State MLS, you can log into the Garden State MLS, and under the search tab, there is a Remine link, and then it'll prompt you to log in. And your login is the same exact login as your Garden State MLS, your number and your password. Thank you, Jenny.
Yeah, kind of, you never been there?
No, it should just be your
You're Garden State MLS, right?
yeah, I mean it's been 8 years since I created mine if I have to create mine, but
Forgot password.
perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Something went wrong, please try again. Oh, okay.
All right, cool. So I'm just gonna talk about a quick intro while everyone is like logging in. So this is kind of a follow-up to the last class that I taught, which was a prospecting class with Kristen and Stephen Emery. We were talking about finding motivated sellers and how to properly prospect around listings and whatnot. So I'm a big proponent of list building. I take time pretty much daily to add to or build the lists of people that I'm going to be calling, the people that I'm going to be emailing, the people that I'm going to be door knocking, mailing, etc. And I really try to find people who are most likely to list. You also hear about our title company providing people with likely to list reports. I do that as well too, but I also like to create my own. I promise I'm not a control freak. Okay, cool. So hi. If you want to just watch, you can just watch. If you want to log in to do it as I do it, then you can do it as well too.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. It's also being recorded. Okay, cool. So screen is a little limited. Okay, so this is pretty much Remine. What's up, Ramsey? It's pretty much Ramsey, not Ramsey. We're looking at Wayne right here. If anybody wants to jump in and talk and use someone else's like listing as an example, we could do that as well too. But for informational purposes, I might just use our office. Which is what, like right here?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So it's kind of like Packanack Lake area. So pretty much what I do is I will get a listing, or this could also work too if you have a buyer who's looking for an off-market opportunity in a certain area as well too. So again, either I'm prospecting around a listing, circle prospecting, or if someone's like, hey, Matt, I really need something in Packanack Lake, for whatever reason. They grew up in that area, they want nothing else in Wayne besides that area.
Sentimental.
Yeah, sentimental, whatever the case may be. I do a lot of prospecting on behalf of buyers as well too. Some people will just do circle prospecting for their sellers, but any excuse to prospect, I'll take advantage of. So I'm just going to go down the list here. So again, you can type in any address, city, zip code, neighborhood, schools, You can get really specific up here. If somebody's looking for a specific school that they need to be around, or again a neighborhood, right? You can be pretty flexible with that search bar as well too. Over here you can save searches. Again, we're going to go over like how to input criteria and like narrow these down. So you can save them, you can add specific properties to carts, right? There's different ways that you can organize your data. The daily tab is kind of just like what you have going on here. These are just different addresses that I've looked up. Right, I use Remine for other things too, like if I'm seeing an off-market property and I can't pull up like an MLS sheet, I will pull up Remine. You can download it as an app on your phone as well too. It's been really handy for me there too. Remine tells you square footage, the MLS and other real estate apps usually don't tell you square footage. So that came in handy. At an open house I did this weekend, somebody actually wanted to find out how many square feet their actual home had. So I was able to search their home on the spot and tell them exactly how many square feet they have. Okay, cool. So let's just dive into it. Again, I'm just using Packanack Lake again because we're in Wayne right now. Again, if anybody wants, I can do a search of their house as an example, or a listing that they have. So up here you have you could do active listings right here, I think. I don't know if there's any you could do searches here for active listings if you wanted to use it as like another form of an MLS. What's up, Scott?
What's up?
Would you say you compare this very much to what's that? RPR?
RPR is more, it's a good question. So somebody in the room asked if it's similar to RPR. I use RPR to do CMAs. It does have a lot of similar data as far as like when it's pulling from like off-market properties. But I don't really use RPR to like search for data as far as like finding motivated sellers go.
But it doesn't have that. I think Homes.com before became Homes.com before it was a different platform.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not
They had
familiar.
that data where you could see.
Yeah. So again, I use a plethora of different databases.
Whatever you're comfortable
Yeah,
with.
exactly. And I use certain things for certain activities because they can be so specific. And again, whatever's easier for me, I'm gonna always default to that. So as you can see here, so listings, you can search for active listings on here, under contracts, right? Solds. That's all in the listing side. I'm gonna stay away from that because we can do that on the MLS as well too. But if you just go over to properties and I always start off my searches, I clear all filters because it does save filters from past searches in here. So I always start off by clearing my filters, right? And so, am I being hacked? So yeah, I always start off my searches with cleared filters and okay. Again, I start off with no filters. I'm looking for people who may be motivated in selling their properties. So on the right-hand side here, you can't really see it because this screen is really zoomed in.
Control negative a couple times.
Control negative. Thank you.
Can that shrink the screen?
Control and then the minus sign.
Yeah. Maybe it's command or alternate, one of those keys are negative. See, I'm more.
Yeah.
I'm more-
Go off
That's
the
okay.
field.
All right, I'm gonna try it here again. This sidebar is just pulling up different properties as you search. But like when you start off the search, you're gonna have like a million houses, right? You got like 562 area, 437 in this area, 452, right? There's a lot of houses in Packanack and around this area here. So this is your cart. Again, I told you can add any properties that you want as you're going through this search, just so you can keep track of different lists. I'm looking to create a master list here that I can then export and then, do some, more digging on as far as finding, phone numbers, emails, mailing addresses, etc. You can search property value here. Again, this is just based off of their evaluation of the properties, right? Maybe they're more accurate with the more recent solds, but it's kind of like a Zestimate almost, but Remine's version. One can argue that this could be more accurate than a Zestimate because it's pulling straight from the MLS data. So yeah, you can, again, if you want to search, hey, I don't really want to bother with homes 250 to 500 in Packanack, because there may not be any in Packanack. But yeah, maybe you say, hey, I want to focus on luxury, right? I want to focus on luxury. I'm going to do $1 million plus. Again, our job as realtors also is to price houses too. So we do have to take this with a grain of salt. So maybe, again, if you wanted to do $1 million plus, maybe you would also search in this $750 to $1 million range, because something that they think is 800 may be $1 million as well. So I don't really use this tab as much, but again, it could really narrow your searches down from these crazy high numbers like 894. You can search home equity. Oh. This is a percent, and this is an amount. You can search like how much equity somebody might have. So again, if somebody has really high equity in their house, they may want to leverage that equity into upgrading or buying another property, right? Or they need a certain amount to sell, right? If you click for example, if you click something like $1 million plus equity here, you're probably looking at people who may own their house outright, which is kind of falling into that category of finding motivated sellers, right? If they own their house outright, maybe they want to sell, maybe they've been there for a while. There's a few different benefits to knowing what equity people have in their homes, especially when talking to them too. Again, like I said, we're building a list today. So we're not necessarily like, I may use this if I get a cold seller lead, right? And I want to know maybe how long they've lived in their house, maybe how much equity they have. They probably pull this data from, like different mortgage databases as well too. And it's also an estimate, right? How long they've been there, what their monthly payments kind of look like. So it's not totally accurate. Take all this with a grain of salt. Ownership time frame. I use this one a lot. Again, I don't always target people who have been here 0 to 5 years, right? So 5 years ago was 2020, right? That's when everything kind of like popped off, right? So maybe I'll do 5 to 10 years. People probably have a lot of equity in their houses in that time frame. And then, you got all the way up to 20 years, 10 to 15 years, 15 to 20 years. And then something that you could do as well here is you can customize it. So yeah, 500, yeah. We'll go back to prehistoric years. So this only goes with 20 plus years, but let's say I want to do like 30 to 37 years, 45, 60 plus years, right? It kind of like auto fills in as you go. So again, you could do the 50 years, 100 years, if you're targeting generational families that have owned this. Ownership timeline is pretty much one of the first ones that I go to when I'm trying to narrow down my search map. Anyone have any questions so far on Zoom? Can you all hear me all right? Okay. The next category is sell score. I I kind of have a bone to pick with cell score, because every time I see a new listing come on and I look it up on Remine, it'll be on the market and it'll say a low cell score. So I'm like, how accurate is this really? So, I've called people with a high cell score, medium is, again, we're looking to be really targeted here. And the cell score is, again, it's kind of like the Zestimate, where it's just their version of what they think somebody might like the overall situation this person might be in, and if they might be looking to sell or not. So again, take this with a grain of salt as well too. Again, like I said, I've seen new listings. I've priced houses where they're like, hey Matt, we have to sell next week, and I'll look them up on Remine and it'll be a low cell score. But in reality, they're a very high cell score. I'm at a listing appointment and I'm pricing their house, I'm getting it ready for the market. But again, if you're just curious, you could always look up, any property you look up in Remine when you're scrolling through that specific property detail sheet, it'll tell you what their cell score is. Anyway. Absentee, this is another one that I use a lot. Again, I'll emphasize ones that I like, ones that I don't really use a lot. But absentee owner is another one that I use a lot. You could look up corporate ownership, owner occupant, absentee in state, absentee out of state. Absentee out of state, again, it could be someone owns a lake house in Packanack, and they come here to vacation. Maybe they're from New York City, right? Their mailing address is in New York City, but they own something or rent something in Packanack. That could be somebody who's motivated. Absentee in-state, again, they're usually either second houses or they're rental properties, again, or they just own multiple houses, whatever floats their boat. But again, these are the two that I use mostly in this tab. Corporate, again, it might be useful to know if a corporate entity owns a property that you may be selling, or if you're doing maybe commercial, right? That could be another route that you want to take. Flood zone, again, I use Remine, RPR, right? There's different databases. The New Jersey MLS has a tab too for finding out flood zones. Yeah, this is really great. I had to do this yesterday. Somebody was going to an open house, and they asked me if it was in a flood zone. I was remote yesterday, so I just looked it up on Remine, and I found out it wasn't a flood zone, and I saved them some time because they did not want to be in a flood zone. You can also show flood boundaries here.
Now, how accurate is that?
Let's see.
Yeah, by the 214, like over there.
Yeah. Let's see.
So we're gonna do both.
A different life, maybe.
We have to get closer, we have to zoom in like more local.
Interesting.
I think it's-
Apply?
I think it's-
Oh, wait,
operator
maybe they're-
error.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, here we
Ah, there you
go.
go.
Finally. All right. You got me sweating there for a little bit. It's not accurate. All right, cool. So yeah, the red is the 100-year flood zone, and the orange is the 500. So 500 100-year is worse than 500-year. Okay, yeah.
It's
So
usually in purple, I think.
yeah. So again, you're always gonna get the flood zones around the lake. You can see how the 100-year kind of hugs the lake here. Because most of the time when your property is on water, you are gonna have to pay some type of flood insurance. Interesting. Yeah.
They keep going to the dam. I say, guys, you gotta go by the bridge. Pick up worms.
Okay, cool. So zoom back out a little bit here. All right, cool. So next tab is building type, single families, condos, townhomes, multifamilies, right? If you're circle prospecting in a condo community, maybe you don't want to be calling single family houses because you're getting a lot of leads for people who want condos or townhouses. I use the multifamily tab a lot. I work with investors. I work with people who are looking at house hack, right? So I will do that a lot as well too, especially with the. This is also very useful with if you don't know zoning in certain areas, right? So this kind of does the work for you, and it'll pull multifamilies that are off market, that you don't have to cross reference like, oh, what part of town is multifamily zoned, what part of town is not. It kind of just does the heavy lifting for you.
That's cool.
Yeah, I use this tab a lot too. Land use, again, if you're looking for somebody who's looking for a farm, if they're looking for commercial land, right, industrial, residential, right? I usually don't ever click the residential or the land, right? I pretty much just use this tab if I have somebody looking for industrial, commercial, farm. I don't sell too many farms. Mortgage rate. This has been a really popular tab for the past few years because assumable mortgages have been talked about a lot, especially like people with the 2.5% rates. You can look up people with, this was popular in 2020 for me when people had like higher rates. You could call them and say, hey, do you know that you could refinance now? You could, possibly buy something for a lower rate now. But yeah, you can actually click and see. You can see like these, it really narrows it down. Probably nobody has the 0 to 1.5 rate, but
Interesting.
I sold a house to a cop in peak COVID when they had those police and fire rates, and he 1.5 he got
Wow.
it.
Yes.
And yeah,
That was 1.15, something like that.
yeah. Let's do 1.5 to 3. Again, this is why nobody's selling, right? Because they're holding on to these, right? And there's still a lot, right? At the end of these tabs, I'll do an example where I plug in pretty much all the criteria, and you'll see how to like narrow that list. All right, cool. Mortgage rates was the last one we did. Mortgage age, again, you could look up has no mortgage. This is the tab I use a lot, right? For people who own their house outright. Again, maybe they are motivated sellers.
Maybe
20
you wanna
plus
take that
years.
With you along to buy something else.
Yeah, I do that a lot actually. So if I see somebody who has either a lot of equity in their multifamily, or if they own their multifamily all out cash, maybe when I'm speaking to them, I may ask them if they want to buy another multifamily, right? Or do they want to take the equity out of that house and use it to buy something else, right? Or level
Let's
up.
put a better tenant.
Yeah, right. So again, this is another tab that I will use. I mostly just use that has no mortgage because I'm really trying to hyper focus on like people who are
Ready.
possibly really ready. Yeah. Number of loans. I don't really use this a lot, but maybe somebody who has 4 loans on one property may be motivated to sell. Yeah. Yeah, definitely check the sheriff's website before you call them. It may be too late at that point. But yeah, that's a good one to check too, especially if you're like doing if you're selling somebody's house, right? And they're like, oh, I only have my mortgage on here. Maybe you want to double check, and if it comes up at like 2, 3, or 4, you maybe want to bring it up again and say, hey, I saw this online. Just making sure you don't have any unknown loans that are on your house that we may need to know about before selling. Loan type, again, that goes back to the number of loans tab. They may have a HELOC, right? They may have, it's pretty cool that you can see if they have an ARM. The ARM tab is good. And again, you could go back to one of the earlier tabs, how long they've had their mortgage for, or if they have a mortgage on their house or equity. An ARM is good for what, like 5 or 7 years. It's a type of loan where they're locked into usually a lower rate, but instead of a 30-year mortgage, an ARM is just 5-7 years. So if you go back and if someone did an ARM loan in 2020 and they got it for 2.5-3%, and they've been locked in, and now it's 5 years later, 2025, and they're gonna have to maybe refinance or sell because rates now are 6s or 7s, right? Depending on your credit score. It may be a huge determining factor in some. This is really popular in commercial right now. ARMs are very common with businesses and commercial type loans. Any questions on Zoom? Keep checking in on you guys. Original loan amount, right? Again, this could be useful for a number of different things. I don't really use this too much. Right, if somebody took out a loan in Packanack for 250 to 500 years ago, right, it's probably worth way more. Last sales price, right? Again, if you're just looking at history, right? If you want to narrow it down that way. Distressed deals. This is another tab I use a lot. Liz Pendens is notice of foreclosure. I believe that's if somebody hasn't paid their mortgage in 3 months. And it's at a point where they could sell their house before the bank takes it over as a foreclosure.
Isn't that a short sale?
No, a short sale is where you are selling a house for less than what the mortgage
Oh,
is.
they're already taking a loss.
So if you have,
They just want to
so if you have a loan on your house for $300,000, but it's only worth $250, that's a short sale. And again, you can possibly look up that here. Again, with all that other criteria of how many loans they have on their property, right? Or what they took their loan out for. Here, and I might need your help on this one. Notice of default, is that just similar to Liz Pendens?
Yeah.
Yeah. Notice of foreclosure sale. Again, these are just different stages of the foreclosure process. I might click all of these if I'm looking to target a distressed deal. Notice of a trustee sale, that might be, is that an estate sale or I don't know. A trustee sale, I think, is when somebody other than the
Power
owner.
of attorney, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe power of attorney, something like that. But it might be interesting, again, if you're looking at different properties in an area that you're targeting, maybe check all these boxes and apply, maybe check one, apply, and just kind of feel it out and see. But it's always good to know what stage they're at when they are selling their house. Cash buyers. A lot of cash buyers. You can do it again, search in a certain area. And that might be it for the tabs, actually. So any questions on any of these tabs before I go into an example here on making a good list or something that or a list that I would make, I guess. No.
No, do it.
All right, cool. Let's get into it. So pretty much what I will start off here is I'll put in my listing that I have, and then similarly to this, it'll pop up. I'll immediately go down and I'll go to ownership time frame, and I might do 20 years more just to really see how many results. So up here in the corner, you get the results. So still, even though I put 20 plus years, there's 1,355, right? And that would take me forever to kind of reverse prospect, find all their phone numbers. Again, if you have a system that you use to skip trace, then you could do all that. But again, I'm trying to narrow it down. So then I'll go again, skip cell score. Maybe I'll go to absentee owner. I'll go absent in state, absent out of state, and apply.
Oh, 13.
13. So immediately, I'm going to take a look at this list that I have here. Wish I could put this over.
Someone just listed.
Yeah, and you probably want to do
Can you move the
You click on
Remine.
results, can you? Oh, no, the-
next to results, I could do so right now there's the map view. There's another view that you can do where it's a list. It's a list view.
It's up on the right. Can you shrink that left column? You can see.
Oh.
Yeah, you get into the other screen.
Yeah, now we're talking.
There you go.
Okay.
Just double click the
No,
top
no,
bar.
no.
Same thing.
Make it smaller.
If you double click the top bar, it'll spread into the one monitor that you're in, or do that, yeah. Oh, that still didn't work, okay.
Can you guys see it on the big screen or no?
Yes, yeah,
Well, people on Zoom, sorry.
sorry.
See this.
Underneath
All right,
that,
so
When I look at snack, I look over 10 feet. I said, unbelievable.
So again, sorry if anyone's house pops up on here, but yeah, you can see like right here. Can you guys see it on Zoom on the big screen that I just moved it to, or no?
No,
No, okay.
no, we
Uh,
only see the sidebar now.
yeah,
Can you shrink that sidebar?
Oh.
Daily search thing, like move it like so it's.
oh. All right, I'm just gonna keep it right here for now. Again, we can still see the map, right? Again, I narrowed it down to about 19 results from that search that I did with again, ownership time frame 20 plus years. And then these are absentee owners. I did in-state absentee and out-of-state absentee. And again, if they're just looking in Packanack, I have 5, 6, 7, 8, and then again, I may not even want to use these, but again, just from curiosity perspective. So you can switch it to a list view here, where it's kind of more of a spreadsheet, which is kind of what I eventually switch over to when I'm done narrowing it down. But again, on this side, it'll pull up, you can sort by bedrooms, square feet, year built, property value, right? But again, we only have like 19 results here, so
How is it picking up Denville? Ah, you have
Where-
such a small search area.
where do you see Denville?
I saw a Denville one in the list.
Oh, you did? Maybe it's a
Did.
mailing address,
Probably,
because
probably.
I do have absentee owner checked off. But
Okay,
yeah,
so maybe that's where the owner lives? Is that?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'll click it so we can dig into it a little bit.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so just this right here as an example, it's off market, right? It's not on market. You can also check like on or off market if you want to filter out everything that's on the market. These people have a low cell score. Again, it's very up to them what that criteria is. To me, they may be a little bit higher on the cell score because they've been there for a long time. Again, I don't know what the usage is here, but it is an absentee owner. 3 beds, 2 baths, 2,000 square feet. They have this much estimated equity. And I guess that's what their home evaluation is. Sometimes they have no pictures, right? Again, if you have a list of more than 25, right? And you're just scrolling through this list, you can just add specific ones to cart if you want. if it makes it easier for ones that you want to target, right? Because maybe somebody will, maybe you'll know your buyer really well. And you'll say, hey, this is not something that they want, right? They need 5 bats, right? So again, you can also add that criteria as well too. But again, I'm just using this for an example. So let's answer that question about the Denville. Okay, so here we have Denville. Okay, so it actually picked up a Denville property. Let's see if this comes up.
That's
Interesting.
weird.
Yeah. Again, databases like this can be a little bit glitchy, I'll say. Again, we do this as an exercise to be proactive. But yeah, it's weird that Denville picked up.
It's a little capital. It was just a weird glitch.
Yeah, it might just be a weird glitch. Seller's information. So again, this is while I have this up, this is an example of what it looks like. They've owned this for 27.6 years. Single family residence, might be land here. Currently has a low sales score, right? Here you can check about the parcel, you can check the flood. No occupants, absentee owner, yes. This is their mailing address, which will come in handy if you're doing any mailers.
Oh, make this quick.
Yeah, you can check out the square feet. It was last updated yesterday. You can see their taxes, right? You can check schools, you can check all this stuff. So again, at the prospecting class that I taught like 2 or 3 weeks ago, we talked about different websites that you can use to skip trace and prospect. And again, we would be looking for this person's information when we did that. Okay. But no, great question. And again, sometimes I have seen this before. It's not totally weird. Again, Pequannock is close by too, so that'll pick up. Again, for some reason, it may glitch. If you ended up calling this person, maybe you ask them if they have a property in Wayne as well too. Again, whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, and then I pretty much will just move this over into a spreadsheet. And I will start making my list. Again, in the beginning of this class, I talked about how I'm the list builder. I take a lot of time to do that. So when I am prospecting, I have a full list and I get into a flow. And I sound a lot better on the phone, or I can be really targeted with other ways of prospecting.
Since when you reported this,
Is there a way to download those lists into,
Download the list. I think you just
like if you made a huge list, if you did an entire town, is there a way to?
yeah. So things that I've done in the past.
Export it?
I don't think there's a way to export it, honestly. You can just print it. But what I have done in the past is I'll take all the addresses and I will send it to,
You email it to yourself, copy and paste.
well, or I'll just pull up the list view and then I'll just copy and paste
Address.
yeah, addresses over. Let me see if there's a way. But yeah, I might just take these addresses and I'll send them to Tobias Title or Foundation
Oh,
Title.
that's right.
And then they'll do the mailings for me, and again, I'll just be hitting these targeted properties that I searched. But I think I just like will click like print
Yeah.
and then
What does the card look like? When you put the saves on?
yeah, so let's go to that.
Yeah, rather than print, I think you could do, you could save it PDF.
So let me just save a few. Oh wait, let me do this.
So that's all.
Card. Oop. And should add 3. And card. You can also do a save search, and if anything comes up, it can email it to you. No, cards, here we go.
Oh, there's the X.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, I never
Good
used
call,
the
yeah.
card, I never used the card feature.
Yeah, so I guess when
Okay,
you're
so
going
add the
through,
card, then you could export. Perfect.
yeah, I wonder if there's a way you could add all of them to your cart.
Yeah, just that box on the top.
Yeah, and then when they're all selected, then you click cart. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is we're all learning for the first time here too. So yeah, you can export them. Let me see what that looks like. So yeah, I don't know what the mailer system. Yeah, so if you don't want all the tabs that they have to offer,
Massive spreadsheet.
yeah, it would just be a really massive spreadsheet here.
Oh, my goodness.
Hi.
Morning.
Let's see what the more. Oh, yeah, you can print mailing labels. Ding, 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 ding. But yeah, I would personally I think the easiest way to go about this is to export. And then if you are a fan of using Foundation to do your mailers for you, or if you have another service that you can send a spreadsheet to, I just know Foundation makes it really like seamless and easy.
So what do? You just send them the export?
And you say, hey, make me a postcard saying, what is your home worth, right? Or looking to sell, I have a buyer, right? There's a bunch of different things that
What's
you.
it cost? You get to pick out the.
I think it's like
sample?
77 cents or something like that per card, so
Okay.
for 100, it's like
Cheaper
70
than-
bucks, yeah.
Cheaper than most.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Foundation is what?
Foundation
Tobias.
is Tobias, yeah,
Just
it's the parent
main title
company.
Oh, the name,
Yeah, what you can do as well too, let's say you have a list of people that you want, so let's say you're building your farm this way, right? We talk a lot about building farms, as an agent. Let's say that you're, want to farm Packanack and you have all these different, so let's do more than 25. I'm just gonna put another criteria in here. So instead of ownership time frame, absentee, maybe I'll do. So ownership and then distressed. Let's do notice of foreclosure. No results. Okay, everyone is paying their mortgages in Packanack. Let's do. Has no mortgage. Let's see what that pops up. 0. Okay, so again, there's a lot of people that popped up that has no mortgage. Again, we can get like more specific by doing a
I love that feature.
yeah, just Just gonna do pack and hack.
Yeah, 'cause it's like, you're not, it's pulling up way more than that.
So 151 results is more of an ideal, you know, target audience that we're looking for. They say like in your database, the rule of thumb is, you know, for every 200 people that you know, I think it's like 5, 10, or 20 people, you know, that's how many deals you can get. So again, let's say I wanted to farm this area and I wanted to farm it throughout my career, right? Maybe I'll add them all as a cart and then I will make the spreadsheet and then I'll send it to Scott Leroy to add to command. And then you just have to go in and then add the phone numbers and the email addresses, right? That is going to be tedious, but again, it won't take you that long to do 151, right?
Can I ask why you have to send it to Scott Leroy?
If you're tech savvy and you can upload it to command yourself, then by all means. But again, yeah, again,
Well, no, I.
no, well, they do the same thing that we would do. But again, I'm just talking in case.
Saving time.
Yeah, if you want to leverage it, again, that's a free resource that the office has here. But yeah, then again, you can go into those other websites that I talked about and you can find their phone numbers and their emails. And then if you want to call them, but just having, you know, them in command and then maybe tagging them Packanack Farm, you can send mailers out once a month, every quarter, right? Whenever we have a new listing in the office that's there, or if you have a new listing, right? It may just be good to have on demand in command if you want, right? Or you could just do, you know, a spreadsheet on the side that you send to Foundation or whatever you use to do your mailers, you know, every once in a while, you know, you can do that on demand as well too.
So, sure.
Any questions on Zoom? I know I kind of just threw a lot at you right there.
9 days.
Oh, 2,000.
Let's see if we could do what you said before, Kieran.
It's red. The space fund.
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Okay.
Well,
Yep, so you could add all of them to a cart. Okay, cool, so I just added the 151 properties to my cart. Now I'm gonna go here. And then again, with the other ones I added before.
So now you could send this to Tobias or.
Yeah, you literally, again, you can, again, I don't know.
Or
like.
Here, you have to pay me for it if I.
Right, you know.
Okay, yeah, again, I'm not too familiar with this,
Yeah,
guys.
I've never seen this.
Powered by PCM Digital.
When you see that $200 charge on both your debit.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
I'm just believing like all the other PayPal, send it 69, thank you for canceling the car wash detail.
Yeah, so again, this is just stuff that you'll probably have to go through. Again, I like sending mailers out from command. I like sending mailers out from Foundation, right? I'm sure everybody has their own preferred mailing technique. Again, you could print the mailing labels if you want to do it yourself. Again, everyone has their own techniques, but I think that would be an awesome way to start prospecting and start like targeting motivated sellers and buyers. Anyone on Zoom have any last thoughts, final questions?
Hors d'oeuvres.
Hors d'oeuvres? We have no hors d'oeuvres here. Okay, cool. If anybody has any, oh wait, we have some chats here. Okay, just comments. If anyone has any like questions or anything that they want, I'll just put my number in the chat. You guys can text or call me if you guys have any questions about prospecting or Remine or any other databases that I may use to target people. But yeah, this is something that I've used my entire career and it's really helped me a lot. Again, the mobile app is really helpful. Again, whenever I log back in, like this is gonna save. So I always click clear all filters before I start my next search. And again, you can save your searches, you can build different carts, all stuff that we talked about. All right,
Right.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, thanks guys on Zoom. I'm gonna log off here, okay?
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
So Matt, you said you do,